Christmas Eve is the day when our expectations reach a climax. I hope you who come to the place of worship on Christmas Eve have the joy and peace of Christmas. Whenever I think of Jesus in this Christmas season, I feel both joy and pain in my heart. I feel joy in the good news of the baby Jesus, how wonderful his birth was. In the midst of great joy, I also feel pain because I know what his life was like. The Christmas story is not a story about a happy baby who is surrounded by so many smiling people. Jesus was born in one of the smallest towns in the region of Judah. If Jerusalem was like New York or Washington, D.C., Bethlehem was like a Davison town, small town. Because there was no place for the baby Jesus in the inn, Mary, the mother of baby Jesus, wrapped her newborn baby in bands of cloth and laid him in a manger. This is what we hear from the story of Jesus Christ, birth. Jesus began his life in the lowest place. From his birth to the end of his life, Jesus never lived a materially abundant or physically comfortable life. Jesus spent his childhood in Nazareth, a small rural town in Judah. As Nathanael said, "Can anything great come out of Nazareth?" He never received any formal education and had to work hard as a carpenter from a very young age. He fasted 40 days before he entered into his public ministry in order to discern the will of God. From the beginning of his ministry, great crowds followed Jesus day and night. The crowds didn't care whether Jesus had time to eat or sleep. As Jesus said to the people who wanted to follow him, "Foxes have holes and birds of the air have nests, but the Son of Man has nowhere to lay his head." The end of his life was indeed too harsh. As the prophet Isaiah chapter 53 said, "He was a man of suffering and acquainted with infirmity, and as one from whom others hide their faces. He was oppressed, and he was afflicted, and he was cut off from the land of living. He was rejected, betrayed, beaten, despised, and he was cruelly crushed with pain and shame by others. He died on the cross, the symbol of curse, pain, and shame." This was the life that a little baby Jesus would have gone through. His life was neither comfortable nor long. He spent his whole life in the lowest of places. What surprised me greatly is how Jesus could have his identity as the Son of God and have the highest dignity while walking in the lowest places of life. It is incredible, unbelievable that his identity and dignity was not affected by poverty, suffering, or any other conditions of life. He lived with his identity as the Son of God in the most difficult conditions. And his dignity and authority came from his identity. We may be excited about gifts, foods, decoration, and family gatherings we have in this Christmas season. We may want to be happy, successful, or better in this holy season. Laura Hillenbrand said, without dignity, identity is erased. In its absence, men are defined not by themselves, but by their captors and the circumstances in which they are forced to live. We Christians are defined not by ourselves or by our circumstances, but by our Lord Jesus, who walked in the lowest places of life with the highest dignity and authority. What I want most is to live my life with the identity and dignity as a son of God. We are called to be children of God. I don't know about you, what situation you are in, but we are supposed to live in this world as the children of God, God's sons and God's daughters. I hope you have the same hope and identity as I have for this Christmas. Merry Christmas to you all. Merry Christmas. Jesus was the light of the world. He came as the light. And in complete darkness, people in complete darkness and deep valley of a shadow saw the light, great light of life. Jesus said to his disciples and the people who followed him, "You are the light of the world." He didn't say that you will be the light of the world. You are the light of the world. New identity was given to his followers. You, even if you are hungry, you have not fancy clothes, and you are not enough, do not have enough food to eat. But that doesn't make a change that your identity as the light of the world. So live like the light of the world. That's why we, the children of God, follow Jesus, would like to follow Jesus as the light of the world. We are going to pass this